3 of the Legends and Dragons podcast here from the Legends Lair in Hearst, Texas. Chance Burleson.
James Klaus.
We have today my Jiu-Jitsu daughter, Bella Scott. Isabella Scott. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello.
Bella. Chance, I call her my Jiu-Jitsu daughter because, I lost my dad when I was 20. You lost your dad when you were 20, right? So he was 43?
44, I think.
43,
yeah.
44. So when Bella was, so I'm 45, I'll be 46 at the end of this year. So when Bella was telling me, I'm like, Bella, I'm the same age as your dad.
Yeah.
I was like, you could be I could be your dad. And so that's when the whole Jiu-Jitsu daughter.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, I would easily protect her like she's my daughter too.
I think the important thing here is you're only 46.
I'll be 46 in December. You know, I'm 45. I'll be 46 later this year.
I thought you were like 56, 57.
I hate your face so much. I hate your face so much. Bella, so your husband, of course.
Yes,
Justin. Let's talk about that real quick.
Okay.
Let's talk about where did you meet Justin? By the way, Bella and I go to Henzo Gracie.
Yes.
Chance learns from Philip, who is also professor at Henzo Gracie. So we're all like Henzo Gracie babies.
Well, we are.
We're
all connected.
So where did you meet your husband?
So I met Justin 6 months into training at my first gym that I started out at in West Fort Worth.
Okay.
So that's where we first met initially. And I know you want me to tell the full story.
Yeah, I do. I want to hear the story.
We met in May, I guess. Like he was in college for that semester. So I had started in January. So I didn't see him the whole time, but his mom was coming to the gym and his sister was coming. And so I was...
Like when you say gyms, is it Jiu-Jitsu gym?
It's a Jiu-Jitsu Muay Thai gym. So that's where I started. One of my neighborhood friends, she started that gym, and after my dad passed away, which I know we'll get into later, but that was kind of what got me into jiu-jitsu. So anyways, she was
Fort Worth?
In West Fort Worth.
Is it over by Looters?
Yeah, actually, it's pretty close to Looters. So she was like, hey, come train, got me involved in all of that. Justin came home from college in May, met him, just briefly walked past him, and then I remember calling my friend and being like, I met the guy I'm gonna marry today.
No.
Yeah, and I was like, I literally did, and she was thought I was crazy, literally thought I was crazy, but I went home and told everybody. I was like, I met the guy I'm gonna marry.
Did you interact with him and have cover?
We just walked past each other, and
that
I
was
saw
it?
him, and I was like, that's him. And so
that is the best story! Oh my gosh!
So he goes out of town, and I don't know where he goes, so I'm just like, okay, he's gone. I'm sure he'll be back.
Well, I'm not going to marry him right now.
Yeah, so he comes back in June, it was, to start training regularly. And his mom and I went to the same hot yoga studio, and he was going with his mom sometimes, so I kept seeing them at the gym and hot yoga. Then one day after class, I remember telling him, hey, I'm going to hot yoga after this. And he was like, okay. And he meets me there. And then after that, he asked if I wanted to get ramen next door. And I was like, yes. And I remember texting my friend, it's happening. And then we ended up talking in the parking lot all night outside of my car. And then a month later, he was like, I'm not going back to school. You're it for me. I'm marrying you. And I was like, dude, I'm so glad you said that because I've already decided you're the guy I'm going to marry.
Wow.
So by August 14th, we were married.
That is such a great story.
Dude, is that not the coolest story?
No, it's pretty crazy. But everyone was like it was...
Were your friends like, hey, you're going so fast, you're moving? Because you guys have been married for how long? A couple years now, right?
We've almost been married 2 years now. Okay. So at the time, my mom, I will say, me and my mom have a super close relationship. Mm-hmm. So I told her that, and she did freak out a little bit, but she was also like, I really trust you. I really trust you if this is what you want. I'm behind you. And my sisters were crying, no, what are you doing? This is what you hear about in the crazy movies, and you're so stupid. And I was just like, y'all have no idea, it's all gonna work out. And now they're all super close. My mom and Justin are super close. Yeah. We're all, it's awesome.
So awesome. Justin, you've never had the opportunity to roll with Justin. So Justin, I think he's a little bit taller than me. He's probably 5'11", so he's probably about an inch taller than me. Skinnier dude, obviously than me. Brown belt. There's good luck. Good luck with that guy. It's phenomenal. Like I was just telling Bella off camera here that I was talking about Justin. Like I don't, when I roll with Bella or whatever with Justin, I don't put my full weight. I'll put my full weight on you, yeah, but I don't do it. I don't even think it matters.
Right.
Justin.
No.
So I don't think that you're okay. I think you need to consider who you're talking to.
Okay.
When you make the comment of like, good luck, that guy's really good.
Yeah.
Because
You think anyone?
Justin wouldn't have to be any good. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like this is like, I beat all of the third graders in the spelling bee. Well, yeah, you're 45,
Hey,
you know?
a win's a win, though.
Huh?
If I beat all the third graders, a win's a win. I'm not.
Yeah, no. Listen, I'm not even trying to beat all the white belts.
Okay.
I just want to not get beat by all the white belts.
Okay.
That's it.
All right, so,
That's it.
Yeah.
But you know what's really cool? Let me tell you something super cool that happened last night in Jiu-Jitsu, because let's make this all about me.
Yeah.
So we're getting close to a test prep, so that means that we have to cover many topics in one class. So last night we're doing stand-up, Kali, and Jiu-Jitsu all in the same class, which in this class plan, in this class structure, you don't really have time to teach.
Okay.
You're just checking to see who knows what. So you're just saying, okay, I need you to show me, back control series 1 to an arm bar to a naked choke. Like, I need you to show me that. And if they don't know how to do it, they don't get a stripe. And that means that they either need to get busy or they're not going to test at this next test, right?
Okay.
So I'm doing with the advanced group, what we call a wheel, right?
Okay.
With the advanced wheel, we're doing full guard series 2, which is arm bar from a guard and triangle from a guard.
Okay.
Right? And so I've got, these people paired up, how jiu-jitsu works.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, I need you to get this arm, bring it across your shoulder, put your foot on the hip.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that they're just laying there like a wild animal that's been beat in a fight. You know what I mean? They're just kind of laying there like a bit like a corpse, between a corpse and an asleep person. And they're not using they're not using their legs to kind of, and I realized, and this is the great thing, I realized I was doing it without knowing I was doing it.
Mm.
And I was trying to explain, I was like, this is why this isn't working, because you're just laying there limp. And I'm like, you have to use the inside. And I'm like, I'm using the inside of my knees. Almost like, I'm starting to understand that in jiu-jitsu, your whole body has to work. I'm sorry, but your whole body has to work like a hand.
Yeah.
Like there's these fingers that are gripping, and all your limbs are moving that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like this whole cohesive unit, and I didn't put that together before.
Totally. Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, you're gonna have a lot more.
I'm sure a lot of ahas. Yeah.
It's a lot of aha moments.
Mm-hmm.
I think with Justin too, he's been training since he was 8 years old.
Isn't that crazy? 8 years
and
old. He's 20,
it was not like
20.
now he trains very relaxed. Like from 8 to 14, 15, right before his dad passed away, he was at every competition, every weekend. I'll let him talk more about it.
Yeah.
But I mean, training for hours a day, like 4 or 5 hours on the mat doing
like a professional
class,
athlete,
adults
right?
class.
Right.
Yes,
right.
I mean and those were during his most developmental years, as far as being a kid, and that's how you're training, and so I think that's just where it's just you can't even the amount of mat time he's had,
Right.
And that's really the only.
There's no substitute.
There's no substitute for mat time.
I can't wait to get him on the podcast too, because what he does with lapels, and then the fight. Didn't he do Fight to Win? I think.
Mm-hmm. That's how
Fight to Win.
he's won his last competitions that he's done with lapels.
Do you know what I think the most similar activity to learning martial arts is?
What's that?
Learning language.
Mm-hmm.
Just repetition, time in it.
No, because the thing is that in the beginning of learning another language, what's happening is your brain is having, okay, do you know, are you bilingual?
Kind of.
Okay.
I mean, very.
What else do you?
I was really good at Spanish.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, so in Spanish, this is a silla.
Mhm.
Okay, so when you're learning Spanish, what happens is you see the picture of a chair, and then you think of the word in English chair, and then you translate that to silla. Now the problem is that's too slow. In real time, it's not going to be fast enough.
Yeah.
And so what happens is the more mat time, conversation time you get, what happens is you see a picture of a chair in your mind, and it goes automatically to both words. Instead of going to chair to silla, you actually see, picture a diagram, is that the chair actually has two branches, and equally both of them could be the word chair or the word silla. And you do that without thought. It just happens naturally. And this is the other reason I think it's like learning language. When you learn Spanish and you become fluent in Spanish, you can then learn another language even easier. So if you know how to learn Jiu-Jitsu, you can pick up striking easier than if you hadn't learned Jiu-Jitsu first. Because it's almost like you begin to learn how to learn.
I think that's what I was gonna say. I think it's more of the whole mindset shift.
It is.
More than just like, and that's like the biggest thing that Jiu-Jitsu gave me, not to learn how to fight or like all of that's really great. But for me, it was just, it gave me a mindset shift, and that's what's kept me coming back and, you know, why I'm the person I am today. Because like when my dad died, there was like 2 roads, you know, and like I like to think I
took the one less
the
travel.
right one, you know what I mean? So
I believe that you did. So so you're from Texas, right?
yes.
Born
and raised in Texas, lived in Fort Worth my whole life.
Okay.
Lived in the same neighborhood since I was 2.
Harris Hospital, Fort Worth?
Actually, no, I was born at home. Sorry. I don't
Oh,
think that's
fun.
Yeah, so that's how far back it goes, guys. I was a home birth
Wow.
22 years ago. So.
Wow. Okay. So
my
you were
dad.
born here.
Born here.
Born in your home that you're living in.
Not the one
No,
she's living in now, right?
No, yeah, I moved from Mansfield to Fort Worth when I was 2. So
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So my dad grew up in Mansfield.
Okay, so your dad's from Texas. Your mom's from Texas
Mom's
as well.
from Texas. Grandparents are from here. Yeah.
Okay. So did you have a pretty tight relationship with your dad?
Honestly, yeah, I did. Like, I really did. I think that's been one of the harder things to like when we were. I knew we would get into it on the podcast a little bit just because we have similar stories.
Yeah.
And knowing that we have similar stories, you know, it's like it's hard to be like, yeah, I love my dad. Like it was so, and then also tell the other side of the picture because it's hard because you want the people receiving the message not to just hate on
and not to cloud their impression.
Because like there were still so many good parts about my dad that I love so much that so that's I guess like the biggest like trying to
balance the story because I get it.
And I think too like with addiction there's just a lot of like gaslighting that happens just like naturally if you've dealt with addiction in your life, and so there's a lot of me having to kind of unlearn a lot of things, and there's still to this day now of me like picking apart like what was really happening. You know what I mean? Because it takes a lot of time to unravel all of that. So there's still a lot of my story that I'm like kind of like, oh, I'm still figuring that part out.
And you'll figure that out till the end. So I'm using my context clues. So you mentioned your dad dying in his 40s. You mentioned there being kind of a P&L to the, yes, you were close and he was a great man, but there was also another side.
Yes.
And then you mentioned the word addiction.
Yes.
So I am going to hopefully not assume anything, but I'm assuming that your dad was like me.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm a recovering addict.
Okay.
Okay. And I was not going to make it to my 40s.
Okay.
So I know... I know exactly what the other side of that coin looks like.
Yeah.
In the program, we have a saying that we did many people great harm, but most of all, we harmed ourselves.
Yeah, that's very true.
Because we rob ourselves of our humanity with our actions. And the thing is that the ones that we love the most and the ones that love us the most are the ones that suffer the most.
Totally.
And that's not what we want.
Yeah, no. And I think that is the hardest part. Because, like, just kind of, like, my dad was very real with us. You know, like, I will say, like, there was a lot of, like, I guess we can just start.
Let's keep going.
And remember, this is your story, so you share as much as you want.
Or as little as you want.
Or as little as you want. So
appreciate it.
Before you get started, I just need to tell you that this coffee is so good.
Is it good?
Is it good? Yeah, where did you get coffee? Yeah, where did you get
So this is from
Bella
Coffee
brought us
Folk.
coffee, by the way.
And this is the, like, only coffee shop we have on the east side. My dad's, like, best friend from high school owns it. It was, like, my first little high school job. They homemade all their syrups. They get, like, top quality milk. Like, everything they do is just, like, perfection.
And what is it? It's
Coffee Folk.
Coffee
It
Folk,
is exceptionally good coffee.
I will tell you.
I am a coffee snob.
I also want to say they're the cheapest coffee in Fort Worth. Like,
No, they're not.
$2.
No.
Yes.
$2.
$2 for that.
There's no way, because at Starbucks, man, I had to pull out a small business loan in order to get a small.
I am now suspect of anything that Bella says on today's podcast because there's no way that's a $2 coffee.
I'm telling you,
Wow.
like, it's amazing.
All right.
Yeah, you guys gotta go.
All right, good.
So, basically, I guess starting from the beginning, I have 2 younger sisters, so I'm the oldest. When I was a kid, like, my dad, so he started a business with his dad, which went under. And this was all when I was like 5, 6. I don't remember a ton of that.
Okay.
But it was like cleaners, and I know it didn't go well. And then we lived in Fort Worth, and around 2008, we got foreclosed on. So just like a lot of hard financial, like when I was younger, and I just remember my mom being like super stressed and overwhelmed all the time.
Yeah.
And like I loved my dad, but looking back now and remembering, like there was a lot of just weird stuff going on with my dad, like sick all the time, throwing up all the time. He was in and out of the hospital a lot. My mom and dad just fought a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just kind of like I remember he slept really late into the day and like things like that I'm like, oh, like that was like really weird. And I remember always being like, why is mom so mad at dad? He's just sleeping, but it's like 2 p.m. You know what I mean?
Right,
so like there's things as a kid that you don't realize until later. But it wasn't until I was a teenager that it like really kind of, I started piecing together what was going on. My younger sisters were very like, I would say they were more like heightened, maybe a little more aware. Like, I don't know if like I was just wanted to give my dad the benefit of the doubt more than they did, but
probably.
I remember when I was like 15, 16, like we started knowing like drugs were involved just because he would have these episodes that like I won't get too much into, but like they were just unexplainable, and like it was not my dad, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And like my mom didn't really know how to deal with it, and so right around when I was 16, he started having seizures, like really bad, like having seizures all the time.
Yeah.
And I still at this point thought like drinking and drugs were involved, but I know my mom wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt, and I think she just really wanted that to not be the case. And I know she had caught him a couple of times because we talked about that later.
Yeah.
And she always, it was just kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, he's going to do better, he's going to be fine, and then things are okay and you don't want to ask, like, are you using again? Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
But like my mom wasn't cued in on drugs. Like now I was like I'd be like, well, did he detox? Was he miserable for 3 weeks? No, then he never got off drugs, you know?
Yeah.
And he did admit that later too, that like he was never off drugs. Like anytime he said he quit, that was never really the case.
Yeah.
So just kind of like my mom was obviously, just to kind of paint the picture, she was being gaslighted a lot longer. So like I have a lot of sympathy for her, and like no hate on that she couldn't leave or things like that. Like I know it was super hard. So, but nonetheless, when I was 16, the seizures started happening, and that was just like super crazy because he would have these episodes after his seizure that would last like he would have a seizure, and then for like 45 minutes he would be like super distraught. Like he would think he was back at home, like living. He'd be like, where are my parents? Where's my sister? Like so out of his mind. And this would happen like an hour after each seizure. And so like my mom is like, what is going on? Because, like, we can't have people over because, like, you don't know what he's going to do. You know, like, he would try and leave the house and drive. It was, like, having to pin him down. And, like, we feel bad for him because it's, like, something's going on with his head. We think he's scrambled, you know? And so we're sympathizing for him and just feeling so terrible for him. And then we're kind of also throwing in these, like, anger episode fits in with it. Or my mom is, like, I would say I was always more suspicious, but like my mom was always just so like, this is what, like, he's having these, like, something's wrong with his brain. So we're doing these sleep studies and like trying to figure out what's going on. He never has a seizure when we do a sleep study, never. And it's like, why do you not have a seizure when we do a sleep study? So when I was like 17, 18, he ends up in like the ICU, almost is gone. And I remember this time being like, he is on drugs. Like, my mom cannot deny this any longer because, like, he's gonna, you know. And I remember everyone thinking the same thing. My grandparents, his sister, her husband, you know, everyone was like, you could just feel it in the room. That's what everybody was thinking. And so my mom was the only one still giving him the benefit of the doubt that, like, he was not doing that because that's what he told her. So finally, once he came back after being like in a week in the ICU and not being coherent, he did admit to my mom that like all the seizures, everything that's been happening is because of drugs. And like that he has to, like, I think that was like his final like, I'm gonna die. But at that point, it was really hard to shift gears, like for my mom and my family, of just like for 4 or 5 years we've been sad and sympathetic for you and thinking that you're sick. Only to now find out that like you knew what was going on. So like that was just like, you know, like what do you think now? Like the gas, like even still, like even up until a year ago, I was still telling people my dad had epilepsy, and I'm like, I need to stop thinking that he didn't have epilepsy. You know, like
I'm sure it may have caused it.
Right? I
mean,
but as soon as he stopped, the seizures would stop. Miraculously. So that was kind of like, once he started having seizures again, my mom was like, you're doing drugs again. And like, that's what I'm saying, it didn't stop after the ICU. Like he said, that was the final line. Another year goes by. My mom's like, I'm done. You know, like, I have to leave now. And like, we're all grown at this point. And my dad finally gets into AA. So this was summer 2023. No, 2022, sorry. Summer 2022. He moves in with his parents. He gets into AA. They said they had to send him to the hospital to detox. So I did believe that like stuff was happening. And then he was doing really well, but like we were not very good at the time. So like I was checking in and whatnot, but like very distant, like just couldn't really like just comprehend everything that was happening. And
you had to process a whole lot.
Because it was like, gosh, like I still catch myself feeling bad for you and have to remind myself that like you knew, like it was.
But don't feel bad about that.
No, but it was just like your mind is like super split because.
I get it. Believe me, I understand.
And so, anyways, he ended up getting. I know you're super familiar with AA, so I think he got to step 7. He was doing really good. Like, his friends had talked to him and came up to me and was like, I have not had like a conversation with your dad that was like this strung together in like 15 years. Like he's changed, like his whole body changed, like color was coming back to him. He was like really pursuing a relationship with me, like text, and like my dad was always super loving to me. That's the thing, like other than like those episodes, you know. But like he was like, there were tons of things we did together that we really enjoyed, and like I was a lot like my dad. Our sense of humor was the same. So there's tons of you know, so he never stopped like really pursuing a relationship with me. Even when he messed up, like it was always, he would come, you know, chasing a relationship with me. So but so then I finally agreed to get dinner with him one night, and it went really well. I was like, okay, because his friends had been kind of like encouraging me to try talking to him, and you know, it had only been a couple months, but I was like, okay, like I want to see him, but like something was just calling me to see him. So we went and had dinner, but that was the next morning, and he had a seizure and he passed away. So
so you saw him the day
The night before he passed away.
Wow.
Which, like, I'm so thankful that I decided to do that.
Yeah.
But, like, it still gets to me because I was still, like, angry. Which, like, I had every right to be angry.
Right, yeah.
But I, like, was very quick. Like, it was, like, an hour. He would have probably spent all night hanging out with me if I would have, you know, given the time to him.
Yeah.
So that's, like...
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, that's the struggle. Yeah, and the thing is, I mean, I don't know if I told you this, but when my dad died, I remember having a dream. Like, in my dream, my dad died. In my dream, it was AIDS.
Okay.
And so when I woke up, I was like, I mean, it felt real. I mean, I was stationed at Altus at the time, and so I hadn't seen my dad in probably a good year and some change. So my dad got a job working for the government out in Italy. So I hadn't seen him since I was doing air traffic school at Keesler in Mississippi. So, but my dream though was so real. I woke up like, where am I? You know, so I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, whew, okay, everything is good. Everything's good. Heart racing. Go back to sleep. Have the exact same dream.
That's crazy.
And so I call him. So I wake up and I call him. And when I call him, I could tell that he was toast. Right? He was drunk, you know. So I called him and I said, hey, Dad, I just want you to know, I forgive you. I love you. And of course, he laughs. He laughs it off and whatever. So 3 days later, I get the call that he had died. So for me, you know, I didn't get to see him, but I got to call him.
You got to do that.
And I truly believe it was God's way of giving me that last opportunity because I know how I am. I would have easily felt the guilt. I would easily, you know, regret and all sorts of stuff. So for you to spend that last night with your dad, I think it's 100% God thing. So
yeah, and like my sisters were really close. Like they never kind of broke contact with him. Like I kind of and it's really crazy because like when we were teenagers and like they were like I was 16, they were 14.
Are you guys like 2 years apart?
We're 18 months apart each.
Okay.
So and then they couldn't stand my dad. They were just like could not stand him, and I always would tell them, you don't know how long you're gonna, because like deep down, y'all, like I always knew it was drugs. I always knew there was, and they did too, and like we always found evidence in the car and stuff. So it was just like we knew, and it was just something we talked about, but we knew like my mom was just not ready to hear that and whatever.
Did you guys try to hide it from your dad? Because when my dad was alcohol. One of the things he was alcoholic. So when we found the little bottles of whatever vodka, whatever the heck you get, I used to dump them out. You know, trying to think I was saving my dad by dumping them out. That just got me beat, by the way. By the way, hey, if you're, anyways, I was like, oh man, I thought, but anyways, did you?
No, so I didn't really actually know he was an alcoholic.
Okay.
So this is kind of like a weird thing about my dad, is like he showed certain parts. Like he would have a beer or two. Okay. And he'd smoke weed, and like that was all like, I think that was kind of part of the mind games he played, because it was like when my mom would complain, he'd be like, I'm just doing this. But we would find a lot more compelling evidence that there was more in his car. Right. And then there was a couple times me and my sisters were just like, we were on it. Like we were a little in this. But we like were in his car one day, and there was a bunch of water bottles shoved under the seat, and my sister went down to get one to drink, and it was filled with alcohol. Like, and so she was like, "Oh my God," you know. So like, we started putting together like, are you getting, like, you're drinking a bunch of the car and then doing all of this, and then coming inside and saying it's just 2 beers. And some, you know what I'm saying?
Well,
so it's like,
so the toughest thing, and this like nothing is more, I don't know. I suspect that few things are more frustrating and painful and what they call crazy making, right? Than loving and being very close to a using addict, which an alcoholic using addict, it's the same thing. It's just a particular drug of choice, right? But so here's the problem. No one is easier to lie to when you're an addict than somebody who loves you very deeply.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the thing is, my father was from a generation where druggies were bad people.
Mm-hmm.
They were bad.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, what else do you call somebody that lies and then makes it your fault when you get upset?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that sounds like a bad person.
Right.
But he raised me.
Yeah.
And he knew I wasn't a bad person.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's this split mentally that happens where you're looking at this person you love and you're like, I know they're not bad.
Exactly.
But I'm not an idiot.
Yeah.
They're doing bad things.
Right.
And so you have to choose to be the judge, prosecuting attorney,
Mm-hmm.
or the loving child or spouse. And my dad picked, the loving father,
Mm-hmm.
which made denial so easy for me to slide him into.
Yeah.
Because the problem with addiction, and you'll hear this in the program, people are like, my disease is out in the parking lot doing push-ups. No, it isn't. It is sitting right here in the room, getting all the information you're getting, waiting to use it against you.
Right.
And the problem, and this is why if you're not an addict and you're not in recovery, you don't understand.
Yeah.
It's not, when I was a kid, they used to have these, but this is before I ended up getting high. But there was a treatment program, big money in treatment, by the way. They would say, I don't have time to go to treatment. Shadle's only 10 days and a couple of 2-day follow-ups. And we're taught that this is something like the flu.
Yeah.
Like that you could get some treatment for it and then you're normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is no going back to normal if you're an addict.
Yeah.
So a friend of mine in the program had a saying. He said, you can put a cucumber in salt water, and if you take it out soon enough, it's still a cucumber. But if you leave it in there long enough, once it becomes a pickle, it can never turn back into a cucumber.
Yeah.
And so we have to treat this disease. That's why the program works so well. But it's not something that we do and then stop doing.
Yeah.
We have to do it and then never stop doing it because we are responsible for what we do to people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's in the steps.
Yeah. And he was really taking all of the steps, and
It's just that enough damage had been done.
and I will say, like, the whole him having a seizure, there's like an extra added layer of just complicated. Have you ever heard of kratom?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you know about like?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So my dad was like always had this kratom stuff around too, and my mom was always throwing it away because she said she had a bad feeling about it. Do you know what it is? It's basically like you
It's
go
legal
into
weed.
Oh, okay.
but you go into a smoke shop and the way they advertise it is like that it's supposed to like help you get off of opioids and stuff like that. And so, anyways, people are always like, it's not a drug, it helps you get off drugs. It's probably worse than weed. Like, it is terrible.
There's so many
I've heard
chemicals,
so many stories of people who are like, this is real, like, this is like straight up.
Yeah.
I have friends that have relapsed. They were clean for a decade and started using kratom, and it pulled them back in.
So
it's like a gateway again.
But it has real serious health consequences.
I can't really like deny that my dad didn't know he was getting high on this.
Sure.
But like also part of me was like, it's probably nothing to him. I don't know. Like I don't know how I worked it out in my head. But when we had the like autopsy done, they found an extremely high amount of kratom.
Massive amounts of kratom, which is probably what it was.
So like that's kind of something too that I've like tried to like make sure my close people aren't like, I know it's kind of like sensitive because it's one of those things that it's like it's not advertised as a drug, but if you take it, it's a drug.
It's
you know? So like it's hard to talk to people about like, hey, kratom, because a lot of times if they're doing it, they're like, but there's like some serious health thing like that can happen if you know. And I guess not clearly advertised.
No, it's not. Of course not.
So it's just one of
that
those
would hurt
things,
their sales.
Right, but it's like legal weed, like, you know, that kills you. You know?
Well, and that whole legal argument,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
The whole, well, it's legal.
I do have to check this
Yeah,
plumber
check it.
text. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Y'all
Alcohol's legal.
Yeah.
Like saying something's legal is hardly a justification.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we know plenty of people who have ruined their lives on alcohol, and it's as legal as you can get.
Right.
Mhm.
Yep.
You know.
Absolutely it is. Yep.
Heroin's not in the Bible, but
Right.
alcohol is.
Yeah.
Like, we've known that was a problem for a
For a
long
long
time.
time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, something you struggle with. So I just want you to know, because I keep telling you this anyway. I keep telling you and Justin how proud I am of you guys, because I am. I'm really proud.
Thank
and
you.
and when I first met you, of course I was a fresh white belt, just started. Bella
Mhm.
was probably maybe a one striper.
I think I was 2 when I got over to Machado's.
Yeah, maybe one or two.
Maybe
I
one
don't
or
know.
2.
And so I don't remember when you and I started kind of sharing, our story. I think it was pretty.
It's pretty recently.
Well, I know. I mean, you mean pretty soon? I wouldn't, because Machado's was almost 2. It's almost been like 2 years ago. So it was like maybe a couple months in.
Yeah.
Sure, because it was fairly fresh after you lost your dad. And
Yes,
so,
it was.
And so when you and I started talking, that's when I was like, "Hey, I just want you to know, kiddo, I'm proud of you."
Mhm.
And so that's when we started doing. That's when my
Yeah.
jujitsu daughter, like I would go to war for Bella. Like I would absolutely
I believe that.
she is my jujitsu daughter.
What I'm picking up on, and obviously it's the first time, I think we've been in the same room before, but this is the first time we've had a conversation. What I'm really picking up on you, about you, which is really a beautiful thing, is generally people have 2 reactions to a scenario or a situation that they've lived through for years,
Mhm.
right? And one is to stay permanently broken and a victim.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, in other words, everything I've been through is so painful that I'm now justified to act any way that I want to act.
Right.
Because if you had lived through what I had lived through, then you would get a green light or a pass
Right.
to do whatever you want to do.
Right.
Which is how an addict thinks.
Right.
Okay? The other thing that I see people do is I see they close off their heart
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and they stop loving people.
Yeah.
Because the choice to love people is the choice to let them hurt you.
Right.
And that's the selling point that no one wants to talk about.
Yeah.
It's true.
The choice to love
Yeah.
is the choice to say, here are my feelings,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
and I would ask that you not hurt them,
Right.
but you get to
Mhm.
if you choose to, and it doesn't look like you've done that,
No.
which is very courageous.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
It's a really beautiful thing to have somebody who has clearly cried the number of tears that you have
Yeah.
still be willing to cry more, and that shows what strength, and that's what real strength looks like, is the courage
Thank you.
is the courage to continue loving people,
Oh, dude, without
knowing full well how it could turn out.
Listen, when Bella when she opened up and when she started sharing with me, I was like, I wore that as a badge of honor.
That is what
Because I was
strength
like,
looks
there's no
like.
way. Yeah, I was like, there's no way Bella's just sharing all of this with.
Mhm.
So I was like, okay. So this girl.
It's a very
I said
beautiful
for the,
thing.
I was like, for the rest of my life, I'm protecting Bella.
Well, and what's
Possible.
great, and here's what's great, she doesn't need it.
She doesn't need it at all.
Okay,
She doesn't
I mean,
need it at all.
it's precious that
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
willing to.
Yeah,
No, absolutely.
But
yeah,
this kind of strength stands on its own, and it's
Right.
not that posturing, the male chest bumping me in the
Yeah, yeah,
locker
yeah.
room, like,
not at all.
that's not what actually that's what weakness looks like.
yeah.
That
But
is true.
real strength is the courage to be very real and very vulnerable,
Yeah.
and I think it's really, what's great about it, Bella, is this is the kind of power it has. It inspires others to do the same.
And that is why your story's so great. So now, after your dad died,
Yes.
okay. So, I mean, you were on the mats pretty soon. Of course, you met Justin, I think.
6 months later.
So you met Justin 6 months later, right?
Yes.
And so, what has the gym, what has jujitsu, what has all of that?
The community,
The
right?
community, yeah. Talk to me about that. Like,
Yeah. So when I first was kind of to go back, like my dad is also kind of the reason I'm doing jiu-jitsu. So
okay.
he loved jiu-jitsu. We used to watch like every UFC fight together. Like that was our thing.
Yeah.
He talked about it all the time. He used to watch UFC reruns all day and just sit in front of the TV shadowboxing. And then he had me shadowboxing. He had me doing kicks. Like we were always sparring and just like that was our thing. We were always so broke. Like he could never afford to like continue at a gym for very long.
Yeah.
So him and a couple buddies had mats, and like every now and then I would come home and all of our furniture was like pushed out of the living room, and they would have mats set up. So I was introduced to it very young, and my dad, if we had the money, like he would have probably put us in jiu-jitsu. Like he always loved it so much, and just loved the UFC and all of that, and Joe Rogan, just like that was his thing. And so after he died, I just like really, you know, like I allowed myself to live in the hole for a while because like I was like, I'm gonna get myself out of this.
Yeah.
But
You got to though for a minute.
You gotta like feel it for a while. So like I remember just being like, okay, I'm just gonna feel it for a while, and it was probably 2 months later that I was like, I'm done. I'm ready to get out of this hole. Like, let's get into the gym.
That's really good. 2 months. Goodness sake. Anyways, go ahead.
So I wallowed for 2 months.
Yeah,
like,
You're supposed to.
Yeah, no, that's why I said 2 months, man. I felt like I wallowed for.
But I felt like I had like people in my life like telling me, hey, you should like look into getting into like a gym, you know, martial art. Like your dad would love that. Like people in my life were telling me that, and then someone I knew opened a gym, so it was almost like the front doors just were swinging open. So I got started in jiu-jitsu, and like I really didn't know what it was gonna be like, because I was like, okay, you know, like I know I've watched UFC and all of that, so I know we're gonna be learning what we're learning, but physical contact, like all of that was like, it's gonna be weird at first. So there was like that awkward, first like 3 months, but I was no special person. I got beat up by everybody the first 3, you know how it goes for everybody, and you learn. But being in the gym at the time, I think it was just like a really good distraction for me, and just to like keep pushing forward no matter what, you know, like I did not have all the pieces figured out yet. Like, you know, I was just showing up at the time, and like not all of it was making sense, and like whatever. And then this happened, which like it's one of those things, like I don't go to that gym anymore, and I won't get into all of that, but this moment specifically, I can't not think about it. The gym owner, who I was really close with at the time, we're doing Muay Thai, and we're standing by the back exit, and all of a sudden, like, I just get pulled out the exit door, and I'm like yanked out of class, and she is like hysterically bawling, and I'm like, what's going on? Are you okay? And she was like having a hard time getting her words out, and she finally is like, I just saw your dad. And I was like, froze for a second. I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, he was standing in here, like I saw it so clearly, and he was just watching you do the class, and like he waved, and then like I looked again and he was gone. And she was like, I mean, a hysterical mess, and like she's not super religious or anything like that. So that was just like, okay, like I need to be here, you know, like this is good, like I just need to keep going. And so really it was probably like that summer that like all the like just mentality just kind of like, this is just about not giving up, like this is life, you know, like, and life sucks, but like I'm gonna keep getting up, and I'm gonna keep trying, and I'm never gonna like lose that. And that's what jiu-jitsu is for me, because you know, like I don't have to have a good day on the mats just because I'm tapping people out, you know what I mean? Like I can have a bad day on the mats, and I still feel great, you know, like I don't have to be winning. It's not about that for me. Like really the reason why I chase jiu-jitsu so much is it's that mindset for me that's just like, I need that in my life, you know?
And it's so funny because if you gauge a good day on the mat by how well you do on the mat, you've missed the point entirely.
Exactly.
We have a saying around here, quit trying to win, practice. And so, and that's the mentality that people have to get out of.
Right.
Of like, I have to check all the boxes and nail everything, and that's how I'm gonna feel good. Well, that's not gonna if you're in a good school, that's not gonna happen enough to make you happy.
Right.
Going and doing the class is the win.
Exactly.
That's the win.
Showing up.
And so one of my sparring coaches, which grappling is sparring. It's all sparring.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
You know what he calls sparring? Advanced problem solving.
Bad,
It is coming up with complex solutions
Yeah.
in a timed format
Mm-hmm.
with consequences that you don't like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what life is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is
absolutely
advanced problem solving.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, there have been times though that Bella has, and I know Bella well enough now to I know she's like, oh, she's having a rough go today, and she has called me over, or I was like, hey, she has for 7 minutes just beat the snot out of me, and I'm like, you feel better? She goes, yeah. She goes, yeah, thanks, Jimmy, I appreciate it. I'm like, yeah, no problem.
I do appreciate those roles.
Yeah, and so I think that jiu-jitsu, of course, I mean, you and Justin are loved anyway at Henzo. You guys are phenomenal, and you are one of the, in my mind, obviously one of the top ladies at Henzo. That the
Thank
ladies
you.
come in, they see Bella, and you treat them so well as well. Any of the new
Thank you.
ladies. So I think the community obviously has helped you and Justin.
Yeah,
as
definitely.
well. I mean, I can't wait to get Justin on here.
Yeah.
But so I want to talk some conspiracies with you.
I can't wait.
I'm excited.
So I can't obviously have the freedom. Miriam doesn't like all my conspiracy stuff.
Okay.
Right? And she doesn't listen to the podcast. She goes,
Listen,
why do I?
We all know that the saint that Miriam is,
Yeah.
part of her sainthood
Yeah.
is tolerating a lot of things about you.
100%.
Do you know?
100%.
You know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
thank God
Thank God for
that
her.
you have me.
Yes, and I do.
You know,
yeah,
because I pick up the slack.
You do.
She's like, all right, Chance, I'm tagging you in.
You know what? And she said that this weekend to Ariane,
Did she?
by the way. Yeah. She goes, why would I listen? She goes, Jimmy has Chance. Why would I listen to them on the podcast? It's like, why? Like they talk. Okay, conspiracy.
Okay.
All right. So I always start off with this, and we'll break the ice here. I need you to tell me one of two things. One, that the government is telling us the truth 100% of the time, or a conspiracy that you believe in. Go. Just we'll go into more conspiracies.
Wait, something I think the government is telling me?
Just a conspiracy in general.
No. His question is,
You gotta tell me
you
that
either
you-
have to tell us a conspiracy you believe in,
Oh, okay.
or that the government is telling us the truth all the time. Which no one answers that, so just tell us.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing, y'all.
Okay.
I am like, nothing is off the table for me. Like,
Okay.
I do not, like, anything could, like, I am an open mind.
Mhm.
If you present to me
Okay.
evidence on something, then I am so down to go down that route. So I would say, like, here's the thing: is everything I have is theories.
Okay.
So I get kind of like annoyed when people want to like take things I say so seriously, because I'm like, we're just talking. Like, and it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
jujitsu for me, like
Yeah.
going into like religion and these things and like breaking it down and just
Yeah.
getting into deep thought is
Yeah,
like
let's do it.
jujitsu.
I love
You know,
it.
so like, don't take everything so seriously, guys.
You know,
That's
Don't
a
worry,
disclaimer. All right, go.
Yeah.
Don't give us a down arrow anyway.
I don't necessarily believe in like NASA and space, personally.
So what don't you believe about NASA and space?
Like, I am not totally sold that space is out there, to be honest. Like, I think that this could be a flat earth.
Great.
I don't-
This is great.
And I'm not
What's that?
sitting out here saying that I know it's a flat earth. I'm just saying there's a
Do you
lot
think-
of evidence out
Yeah.
there pointing to that it could be. So
What
I'm
I-
totally
what-
open to that
You
theory, and
I'm
I think it's
buffering
very
right now.
interesting.
I'm buffering.
I know.
I don't know.
I know.
Chance, go ahead.
Listen. Just be patient.
Listen, this is what you believe. I just
Okay.
want to like,
Yeah.
here's what
Okay.
people who don't believe
Okay.
that the earth is flat, right? That we're soaring through the universe at trillions of light years, and we're spinning so fast, and it's all happening so fast that we don't even believe it, or that we can't even feel it, right? Like, we're soaring through this universe, and it's just nothingness, and we're going, and we're spinning, and all these things around us are spinning perfectly. And we see the same stars every night, and we're traveling so fast through the sky. How have we been using the same stars
So
to? And then my other question is, when people leave space, like leave planet Earth, how do they get back? If we're like
Mm-hmm.
they get out there and it's just like they're like watching what's going on.
So before you here's the
Like,
problem.
literally, think about it for 2 seconds before you get.
Okay.
So no.
Yeah.
Yeah, the problem is he's an air traffic controller. That's the problem with this.
Wait, don't your planes fly on a flat map? Like, they use a flat map for coordinates, not around Earth. They use a flat map. You can look that up. Planes fly on flat map coordinates.
So there is such thing as the curvature of the Earth.
That's what you think.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
that's,
So
that's okay. That's
so
fair.
I am going to be the glue that holds this podcast together at this point.
He's like,
No. I want to
His
go
little,
down this.
God bless his heart, his little head's gonna pop.
No,
okay?
I want to go down this route.
No, but so listen.
Go ahead.
So listen.
All right.
So I'm really, really grateful for this author that I've been following. I'm not going to say his name because I will then become the target of all of my really devout friends out there. But I'll just put it this way. He is a pastor.
Okay.
But he's the kind of pastor that has picket protesters out in front when he speaks.
Okay.
Because he is accused of leading people astray.
okay.
Which makes me fascinated by him. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, oh, I gotta hear what this guy's saying, right?
Right.
If Westboro hates him, I really have to hear him, right?
Okay.
But he talks about, and the concept is that sometimes you need a scientist and sometimes you need a poet.
Mm-hmm.
And both are legitimately real and they both fill a legitimate need. The problem is that we think that science and like faith are opponents,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not.
They're the same thing.
So there is
What do
a
you think?
German word.
He's like-
Yeah, they're the same. There's a German word,
We'll
and
get
it's
to
the
it.
only. It's actually a Dutch origin word, but there's a German word which is the only word in any language
Mm-hmm.
All right.
that means this, and the word is Grinsbifligrich. No, Grinsbegrifflich. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
The word means that which is known but cannot be proven or measured. Okay? Now, before you think I'm getting all mystical, do you like jazz?
Yes.
I need you to, with numbers and figures, explain why.
With numbers and
Yeah, no,
figures.
scientifically prove to me why you liked it.
Yeah.
With numbers and
Let's hear it, Jimmy.
Yeah, the thing is you can't.
All right.
You can't, but that doesn't mean that it's not true. It doesn't mean that you don't know it in your bones.
Okay.
And so there are ways of knowing things that bypass the scientific method. Everything we knew about science 100 years ago, quantum theory has blown it all out of the water.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about quantum entanglement. We're
Yep.
talking about
Telepathy.
we're talking about particles at a subatomic level that travel all of the paths at once and only pick the path that they're going to travel once they're observed. This doesn't make any scientific sense. So, by the way, I'm pretty sure space is real and it's not a flat Earth. But I'm old enough to know that I could be wrong.
That's what
I
I'm saying.
could be
Is when
wrong
you-
because I haven't
what-
been in space.
Here's my favorite part about the fact is how like people are just like
Offended.
offended.
I
And
know.
that, to
Well,
me,
offended. I think it's phenomenal.
no, but like a lot of people I talk to are
Yeah.
offended, and that's funny to me because I'm like, see, you're not open-minded. You're not willing to be like, you know, like, and
And it's
I'm
like-
willing to talk about anything.
What's
Bro, but you know, it's almost like it's like you not only told them the Easter Bunny and Santa Claus aren't real, but also Jesus isn't. Like they get really upset.
And to me, so this is where it gets like a whole other level of like,
Oh, I'm
More
so glad we
cookie?
had her on.
I think it's all
No.
spiritual.
It is all spiritual.
And this is why, so like, don't go crazy, guys. NASA, do you know what it means in Hebrew?
What does it mean in Hebrew?
To deceive.
NASA in Hebrews. Did you know that?
No,
I had no idea.
It
I
means
don't.
to
I don't know if you
deceive,
know
to
this. I don't
lie.
speak Hebrew.
I don't speak NASA.
It means to deceive. Did you know that NASA originally was formed to explore the ocean? And they got like 5% in and then just decided never mind. We're gonna go to space.
Yeah, because it's harder to explore the deepest.
Why would we not want to know about that? I'm sorry. We have apparently know more about space than the ocean.
And
It's just
okay,
stupid.
and so here's the funny thing, Bella. Here's the funny thing.
Like what?
I just parroted back that it is harder to explore the deep parts of the ocean than it is space. And I just told you that like it's true, but I just heard that.
Yeah, how is that?
So how
we
much?
can't even get back to the moon.
How much of what you and I, how much of what you and I accept as true,
Okay.
have we just heard enough times, long enough,
To believe it?
to believe it? Because the truth is, Jimmy, neither of us have been on a spaceship outside of the planet Earth. So, again,
That's my whole point.
I'm telling you, I'm pretty sure the Earth is round and there is space. But
yeah.
I cannot say without a doubt because I haven't witnessed it myself.
So those two astronauts that are stuck in.
Oh gosh, don't even get me started on
No, go on.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, no. So where are they? Where are they?
Not in space. Y'all, it was a 2-week trip or whatever. How'd they have freaking Santa hats for Christmas? They sent pictures of them in Santa hats back to the Earth. And my first thought was, if it's a 2-week trip, why do you pack Santa hats?
So I know. So,
why would they have Santa hats? Like,
so let's go.
no
Let's go to something that is going to make Jimmy.
No, I love it. I love
yeah, no,
this.
Let's go to something more tame like 9/11.
Okay,
All right.
I can talk about that.
I remember my children were babies, so this is 25 years ago, right? And yeah, this is 2001, right? Yeah. So 24 years ago, and I was watching my big tube TV, right? And my wife at the time busts in the room. I'm sleeping, of course, because I'm a clean addict, but I hadn't been clean so long that I didn't stop sleeping late.
Right.
You know, that's an old habit. It goes away. Yeah. She busts in. She says, "Chance, we're at war." And I see one tower is jaded, kind of janky and smoking, and then the other one falls. And I remember seeing the plane fly into it, and I remember watching it fall from the bottom. And at 25, I thought,
no way.
I don't think that would do that.
It's crazy.
I don't think that would do that. And then and then not long after that, I heard about Tower 7, which was blocks away.
Yeah.
Blocks away. And then apparently floaty fire stuff went blocks away and made that one melt from the bottom up. And
no plane wreckage.
And I know. And the thing is that here's how, this is why everything is subject to revision, especially what I know about the truth, right? I remember seeing footage as a little boy of JFK's head snapping back and to the left by a bullet that came from here.
Yeah.
This is the kind of information that we're fed as a populace and expected to accept.
But the thing is, people will sometimes defend this with their life. Like, I talked about the Santa hat thing with some people, and they're like, they sent them some. I'm like, they sent them Santa hats. Like, really? These are the things that you're
It costs $1 billion to, you know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's crazy. Like, so yeah, with 9/11,
Yeah, no, this is super fun.
Yeah.
I think, I'm like,
so what do you think about 9/11? Even though you were -2.
No, I mean, I've done like my dad from day
Did a
one.
deep dive, yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm telling you. Like, my dad homeschooled us. I was born at home.
Yeah.
He didn't want me to have Social Security. Like, I mean, this guy was like, and I mean, he he told me so many things that would happen that's happened.
And then did.
Okay.
Yeah, like he was plugged in. So I really do, like, I took what a lot of my dad said serious. And so we talked a lot about 9/11, and I definitely think it was an inside job personally. I mean, like, And like you look at what happened after, like they had access to everything, like they could access your cell phone, like all these things in the name of like preventing terrorists. And what we did as a country was, yes, government, take our, protect us.
And this is how liberty
us.
dies, with thunderous applause.
And so like, and that was kind of like, I mean, that's when they had access to monitor everything. Like they were basically allowed to spy on us now because of this event. And then everything that happened in the Middle East after as well is like I do not think any country is just like this. Like I don't think America is special in being corrupt.
No, gosh, no.
But I also don't I know a lot of Americans think America is like this great country, and so talking about these things, people get very offended.
Oh, it's a great country.
It's a great country.
You heard about that comedian that said...
But let's also think about what you just said. It's a great country, but we
now,
can bomb the towers and kill a bunch of our own civilians to spy on them.
the smart...
And start a war that we lied to everybody about.
Well, you know about the Norwood docs, then?
What is that?
So the Norwood documents I believe it's the Norwood documents. Anyway, the Pentagon. So our country has discussed ways of causing casualty on our citizens while blaming another country.
Yes.
Well, the smart way to do this...
Yeah. Oh, don't.
I'm just saying, it's crazy.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think they had to go that far.
Probably.
I don't think they had to go that far because radical fundamentalist Islamists are a thing. They do exist, very much hate not just America, but all Western powers that are not Islam, right? Yeah. And they're a very small segment of the world of Islam, right?
Yeah.
But they have been bombing and killing people for a very long time. They very much did hate America. It would not have been dumb if America had wanted a tragedy on our soil to just piggyback on something that was already happening, that they could have plausible deniability and blame, and that's what makes the most sense. Not that they did it, but that they co-opted it.
Yeah.
But here's the problem with conspiracy theories, and this is what I told you earlier. Like the QAnon and what's his name? The guy that went crazy because he was an OxyContin addict, Alex Jones. Infowars, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So here's the problem. He was the first one to talk about Epstein's Island. And he was right.
Yeah.
The problem is, I think that went to his head, and then he thought, well, anything else that I think is right must be right.
Yeah.
And then a guy went in to shoot up a regular pizza place.
Yeah.
Because somehow the clues led the child trafficking thing to this pizza place in Washington, D.C., which was just a pizza place.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's like people want it to be either or. They want all the conspiracy theories to be true or none of them.
I think that's my biggest like a lot of people love to have someone to get information from. There's your pastor, it's Alex Jones that you listen to, Joe Rogan, who knows? And once you start hearing things you like, you don't want to hear things you don't like. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So you have to keep an
bias.
open mind in the fact one thing that they talk about could be true, but also
they could also be wrong.
You have to take and piece information and compare, and that's what I'm saying. I don't just hear something and then I love to look into it and learn more about it, and
I love these conversations with Bella, by the way. We've had
I've been debating flat Earth being a possibility, not even kidding.
Ever since I heard
16, and I always thought and then now I just don't really care what people think anymore, and I'm you know what, it's a possibility, and then if you're upset by it, I don't really care. Okay,
right.
Whatever.
Whatever, man.
So, but yeah, no, I have a lot, there's tons of things like that. I talk about weather warfare. Everyone thinks weather warfare.
A whole episode.
Everybody what?
Thinks weather warfare is not a thing, and I'm like, then why is it illegal? And the war book, the rules of war is you can't use weather warfare against another country.
Right.
Why is that outlined if it's not real?
There's seeding of clouds and stuff there's stuff that's actually
I'm just
Legit, yeah.
saying, if they couldn't do it, why would they talk
Yeah.
about it?
There's a lot of there's a lot of stuff that we don't know. Obviously,
Right.
like there's a lot of shadiness goes on. Listen, our country is as shady as they come.
Oh
The
yeah.
CIA has planted governments in place and has done all sorts of stuff in other countries. That's why when people said to me that the election, like, oh, election interference, oh, you know, like the last election, I'm like, listen, our country has dabbled in other countries' elections.
Oh yeah.
And like, don't tell me there's no election interference that goes
Absolutely.
on into
No one
this
can
country.
deny that.
Right, but now at what level? I don't know. But anyways, like I said, we're gonna.
Yeah.
So that comedian was saying
Yeah,
that
yeah.
America is the best country.
Yeah.
But it is not a good country.
And
he said, here's what I mean. If you are one of 7 brothers,
Mm-hmm.
and you all have committed murder, but you have murdered fewer people than your 7 brothers.
Mm-hmm.
You're the best brother,
Yeah.
but you're not a good brother.
Yeah.
And
No.
like, just because, like, the reason that I think this is the best country is only because of what I'm comparing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And I've never left the United States. So
But then, you know, I hear a lot of really good things about Norway.
I hear a lot of really good things about tons of other countries.
You know, they talk about, like, socialism is just, it's the devil and you're going to destroy this country and socialism. And then they always use Venezuela
Yeah.
as the example.
The worst
one.
Yeah, I'm like, Norway's killing it, man.
Yeah,
But,
and
you know,
Finland and like
yeah, Finland, exactly. And I'm like, so using the word, quiet down, Nikki. Using the worst example of why a thing doesn't work is confirmation bias.
Yeah, and like most other countries don't even have credit programs.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like they don't even do credit. There.
Yeah.
And so like, and you tell that to someone in the United States, and they're like, "What? No, you can't walk the wrong way down China, or you'll go to jail." And it's like, no, you've just never.
By the way, as my disclaimer, because this is awesome with the conspiracy stuff. You better watch your opinions. I will find you. I will find you.
I don't care if you have any opinion on it.
Hey, so as we wrap this up, though, I want to talk about this last piece that we do. So you, as your business, if you will, is it a lot of Airbnbs that you do?
So me and Justin manage Airbnbs.
So how'd you get into that?
I was in real estate first. So I got my license when I was 18
Okay.
and did that for a little bit, but I always really liked Airbnbs. Like stayed at a couple and was like, this would just be so much fun. And I always like had this idea to travel, and about like a year and a half in, I got this, one of my brokers had a quadplex, and he was like, you should totally basically rent this unit out for me and I'll let you sublet it on Airbnb. And I was like, that sounds so cool. And that was like super successful. And I was kind of the first person in my office that was like really like chasing the Airbnb stuff. So eventually, just kind of like from word of mouth, people started being like, hey, my clients want to buy one. Are you interested in managing it? And blah, blah, blah. And now we are about like 25 properties that we manage. And
wow.
the goal is to kind of like, I don't know if we want to, hopefully my clients don't watch this. I don't know like how much we want to manage long term. Like I've gotten a lot of like consulting opportunities that opened up. I'm really good at like owner res and API like integrations and making listings go live, and you can charge for that. And I don't know, I'm starting to open up the possibility of like keeping the Airbnbs that I have, renting them out, going and staying in another country for a little, coming back.
That's super cool.
So that's kind of what we're working towards very slowly right now. It's just like taking care of the things we need to. And then
and I wanted her to share that. Obviously, you're what, 22? When you
Yes.
turn 20? When you turn 23?
May.
So 22 years old, 23. The loss that Bella talked about, and besides jiu-jitsu, you're killing it with the Airbnb stuff and the business. Look, stop making excuses, guys.
I hadn't even gotten clean for the first time at 22.
Yeah, and Bella and Justin are you guys are killing it.
Thanks.
So
we try, you know, but yeah. So
I want you to know. I want you to pass this along to your dashing beau, Justin.
Okay.
And I want you to let him know that I am issuing a challenge to him.
Okay.
Okay. is that I'm going to work really, really hard for a long time, and one day I'm going to be harder for him to beat than I am now.
Oh wow, okay.
Hey.
Yeah.
I know those are bold words.
So you know what? You know what? I'm going to challenge Justin right now. Justin, you're watching. I'm going to challenge. Who would you be able to tap quicker, Chance or me?
Me.
You think so?
Yeah.
No, maybe. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Well, I'm a pacifist. I don't listen. I've never, until I met you, I've never once fantasized about what wild animal I can beat in a street.
Yeah, absolutely. See, that's the thing. I'm glad that you.
Do you understand what you've done to my brain,
dude? Have you seen? Do you think you can beat a kangaroo? like, do you think you can beat a kangaroo?
I don't think I would run. Like, I'm not trying.
Have you seen how jacked they are?
Somebody called it like a deer on. What was it like a
deer on steroids?
Yeah, like a jacked up deer or whatever. Dude, have you
was
seen
it
the video?
Khabib or was it Islam? That's like, has anyone checked grappling on kangaroo? Do you remember that video?
No,
They're like asking all the UFC fighters, like, do you think you could beat a kangaroo? And all of them are like giving funny answers, and then he's like,
so I think
I could submit kangaroo. Like,
you think
he's good boxing, but no one's checked the grappling part of the kangaroo. So
you've heard the name Gene LaBelle. He was judo Gene LaBelle.
Yeah.
He was a good friend of Dad's, and he was the first MMA fighter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wrestling, judo, before jiu-jitsu was a thing.
Yeah.
Before the Gracies. He was a stuntman in Bruce Lee movies, so like really long time ago.
Yeah.
He grappled a bear.
Yeah. Well, obviously he must have won.
I don't know how it happened, but the fact
the
fact that he was willing to grapple a bear.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters who won.
Yeah.
Just the fact that, you know what's the worst that can happen?
Exactly.
A lot.
Yeah, exactly. See, that's what's the worst that can
They
happen?
have claws.
Wait, you do this?
What's the worst that could happen? Did you see the video?
It's not controlled, you know that, right?
Yeah,
it's not a map. Bear doesn't bow in.
Listen, Jimmy is the flat earther of animal fighting.
That's right. Oh my god!
Hilarious.
Isn't that great?
Dude, there's a video I meant to send you. This dog. Did you see the dog that was trying to attack the guy? And he sprawled. He got the dog like he just sprawled. And he was able to keep the. Have you seen that?
I saw that.
That just again proves my point that man can beat an animal. Like, because here's the thing.
Clearly,
here's the thing.
we can beat. We have firearms.
No.
Jimmy.
Hand to hand. I think a kangaroo. You put boxing gloves on the kangaroo, just because it can't grip. But you put boxing gloves on, so now you have just restricted them. So
how'd you get the gloves on him in the first place? That's already your first fight.
He didn't really walk that
See,
through.
my flat Earth theory is crazy, but you just put gloves on a kangaroo. Like, what?
And listen, if you can do that, talk them down.
Yeah.
You know,
negotiate it down.
Yeah.
Calm the situation.
Well, see, you guys are crazy. See, you guys think you the whole. Anyways,
maybe the kangaroo's open-minded. Maybe
Right,
he doesn't want to
right.
fight at all.
Yeah, the difference
Maybe he's
is
never been asked.
kangaroo.
I would have a new kangaroo friend.
Oh yeah, that's true. You were talking to me.
Yeah.
I would be friends with the kangaroo after they beat me up. That's how you know. You beat me up and was like, I want to be friends with this guy. Bella, listen,
Never.
glad
you came on.
I'm
Thank
glad
you
you came
guys.
on. This was fun. Listen, and like I said earlier, I have nothing but love for you. I have nothing but love for Justin. I am super proud of you. And now that you know Chance, see, now you have both of us in your corner. So
Hey, you haven't met Nikki yet, have you?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, you're gonna meet her after. Quiet down, Nikki.
I have quite the circle, guys. Like,
huh?
I said I have quite the circle. A lot of black belts.
Isn't that great? How martial arts expands our world?
Oh yeah. I'm like, no one can mess with me now.
Guys, before we go, TikTok, where are you at TikTok for your Airbnb?
Oh yeah, B&B Sparkle.
B&B Sparkle.
So go check her out on TikTok, guys. Thank you. We'll see you guys next time.
Thank you guys.